You are listening to the podcast To Be Single or Not to Be by Shanna Montana, a podcast where we talk about the single life, dating, and relationships so you can make a decision at the end of each episode to be single or not to be. So today's topic is no matter what, you will be okay. And I wanted to discuss this topic on the podcast because it is so important for us all to know that no matter what we go through in life, when it comes to those not so fun times, we really will be okay at the end of the day. And when we're going through those things that challenge us in life, and especially relationships, we may sometimes feel like there is not a light at the end of the tunnel. But we are here today to tell you all from our experiences that it always is. It's just a work in progress, and you have to be willing to do the work for yourself like you would for your partner. So now I want to introduce some guests that you've heard on the podcast before, some new, some old, that I know can add some value to the conversation. So we have one of our reoccurring guests here. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is senior podcast friend Krystal Jordan.
Up next, we have
Dr. Grant.
She's back in the building. And last but not least, we have a new guest, Miss Krystal. Say hello.
Hello.
So we do have two Krystals in the building. We have two AKAs and two Deltas. You all tell me how this podcast goes. You know what?
All right.
I'll make sure I edit that out of the episode, you know. All right, so now to the business. On this podcast, you guys know we dive into all sides of relationships. The good, the bad, the ugly, all the above. So tell me, since we're talking about being okay, why do you guys think it is so important that we truly heal and get over our exes or get over our past situations before we move on to the next? And I asked a question that may seem obvious, like you need to get over it so you can, be your whole self with the next person. But we don't do that. We don't. So why do you all think it's important that we recognize that we have to heal from previous situations before we can show up as who we need to in our next one? Don't all go at once.
Okay. I believe that, I do believe that the certain relationships and things that we go through in life are for reasons, and it helps us learn certain lessons that are necessary for our soul's evolution and for us to be able to really tap into our highest potential to do our work here on earth.
Right.
I do believe that. So I believe that certain people come into our lives for that reason. And if you don't get the lesson the first time, okay, you don't want to heal, you don't want to face it. I tried to show you. Here's another one. Here we go. Let's do another one.
And it just keeps showing up.
Let's keep doing it. Let's keep doing it. But I think it's important because then sometimes if you don't let go of certain trauma and certain things from different relationships, then you bring it into the next situation. And maybe that situation could have been different, but you kind of spoiled it a little bit because you still have the same programming from the previous, situations. You still had this, you were still acting on the same things and reacting the same ways you used to, instead of being like, okay, I learned in this last situation it didn't work out, and that's not, it doesn't help me communicate with people well. It doesn't help me connect with my partner, whatever, well. So I'm not going to bring it into this next situation. But I think it's important to do that because then you can really show up and be the best version of yourself. So that person can really mirror you and be the best version of themselves, and you can have a healthy, union.
Right. So I agree. You said that same programming, because I know with the stage I'm in right now, that's important because we have this programming in our minds. I know I do that, men are A, B, and C. And I feel like, when I encounter a man, it could be a whole new man. I'm like, you're going to be just like A, B, and C. I already know. And then say if that person, because they're human, they do one thing that kind of makes me have a flashback from my previous relationship. And in my mind, it just clouds everything. So sometimes that lets me know that I still have to constantly do the work to remove that, because if I don't, I'll keep my fault. I'll keep having the same experiences.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't realize how much of that you still need to work on, and sometimes it doesn't, you're not all the way healed even when you get into another situation, but just the way that you move when it comes up is different. Because I saw this post the other day and it was saying triggers are just showing you what else you need to heal. So it's not just I'm getting triggered just because, oh my god, my anxiety, my depression, we always want to claim these things as our crutch for everything, but in reality it's okay, I'm being triggered for a reason. Okay, why is this throwing my anxiety off a little bit? Let's process this for a second. Okay, let me do something different than I did last time. Right. And so sometimes, you don't realize that until you get into a new situation and you're like, ooh, he made me, flash back a little bit. Them things don't really go away. Right, but it's it threw me back there for a second. I'm like, okay, let me let me figure out how I can do this differently. Maybe before I would just shut down, I wouldn't say anything, and I just ghost you. You know, now this time, let me tell you, this is where you had me messed up.
Yeah,
so,
let's be clear.
And I just want to let you know, because maybe we can talk about it. Maybe we get to a different place. That's happened this week for me, for sure. That happened this week for me, and I was like, ooh, because Jade would really ghost you right now.
But I'm going to try to do something different.
Ooh, y'all don't even know. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to be an adult. I'm going to talk about it.
Have a conversation.
Do this differently.
Yeah, let's do it differently. Yeah.
I love it. What do y'all think?
That trigger gun down.
I know, right? Right. But sometimes it's not like an always, all healed thing. It just is a continuous process.
A work in progress.
Yeah.
A constant thing.
I totally agree. This week, as I was driving to work, I was listening to probably Sarah Jakes, and she was saying that, like, when we have to go through these tests and go through things again, we have to get to the point to where we're like, okay, Lord, what's the lesson? So that I could go ahead and pass this test and be done with this, not keep reliving this, so that I can move on to something else.
Yeah.
Amen.
I'm looking right at you.
I'm thinking, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of caught off. I'm thinking, so in my mind, I was just thinking about a quote that was something that stuck with me, being, you change your playground, but you don't change your playmates. Being, if you're on a playground and you got these friends, these vibes, these people that you're entertaining, and you want another situation or another scenery, or you want better, or you realize, you don't want this same scene. Well, you can't go to a different playground entertaining the same, I want to say, spirits or personalities.
Okay.
So if you want something new in life, you have to change not only your playground and your playmates. That may mean you have to change your just inner thinking and maybe what you desire. So that kind of was making me think about my situation when I was telling you about this guy versus that guy and what type of guy, I'm looking for. But sorry, I was just thinking about that when she was talking, so I wasn't ready for that.
That's a part of, like, changing your programming. You
your programming.
You gotta realize, like, hold on, okay, that didn't work. Maybe that's what I've seen growing up, but that's clearly not working for me right now.
Yeah. And sometimes I think, too, when you keep getting static, I found a lot of times, I guess this was part of my healing, I kept meeting the same person. I kept dealing with the same kind of person, just in different flesh. And I'm like, this is the same exact man. Why do I keep signing up for this?
Same playmate, just a
Yeah,
different playground.
that's what it was. And then when I realized too,
new relationship,
like,
exactly, just a different person with the same,
and it was giving me the same headaches, the same terrible communication, the same disregard for what I wanted, the same all the negative things. And so that's when I realized, like, hey, you gotta stop. My thing was, I know at the time, just because it's packaged nicely does not mean that
it's some nice packages.
Yeah, it's some nice packages.
Nice packages.
And I kept signing up for the same package that looked nice, and it was like they're not as beautiful inside as they are outside. So I realized I had to move on from that. But what do you guys think happens to us? Say if you're in a situation, we're talking about the programming and we're trying to move forward, and we understand you may get in a new situation, not be 100% healed. But what happens when we get in situations and we just will not let the past go? Ex hurt us, somebody did something wrong to us. What happens when we just are not able to let it go?
It's baggage. It's increased baggage. When I think about different just workshops and just training and teachable moments, especially when it comes about grief and hoarding anger and emotions and feelings, there's always been scenarios of, like, a person wearing a backpack. And if you put a brick in there, it's going to give you a little tug going backwards. But if you constantly fill that backpack up with bricks on bricks on bricks, it's going to get heavy. It's going to be heavy for you to maneuver. Your back may start aching. You might start moving slower because you got all this weight on you. That's the same thing emotional, wise. If you're in a relationship with someone, if you've been hurt, if you're angry, if you're upset, all of those things carry layers of baggage, which in a sense can be like those bricks. And if you're applying more baggage into your bag, it's heavy to hold. And if you go in a different direction or go into a new relationship and you're carrying that backpack wherever you go, you carrying that weight. So it just makes it harder for you. It's hard to travel when you're carrying a load. It's hard to be focused when you're carrying a load. How can you be focused when your back aching, when your feet hurting, you can't focus. When you're not sleeping, when you're not eating, when, you're not concentrating, when you're not giving your body and your mind like the best that it needs, because you got all this extra stuff that's weighing you down. Yeah. So,
and you can't move forward like you
can't
want
move
to.
forward. You can't move forward.
When I think about love, even here recently this year, I've defined love as freedom for me. So if something is weighing me down and I'm holding on to something that really, it has nothing to do with my current situation or whatever, and it's preventing me from being free and to feel free. Yeah. Because that's what love is. You not just, right. Love is not just being crazy. Love is not all of these things that we've seen and been like these messages that's been pushed to us about being obsessive about something. Exactly. Yeah. It's all about just being free and feeling free to be 100% the self that you want to be, and to really like be present. And that's why I think the focus is, I'm taking that as like being present, because then you can't be present in the moment because you think about, well dang, he hurt me like that before. But just like, this is a great person that's like trying to make you smile, make you laugh. It's trying to be, it's filled with soft moments and really beautiful things, but I'm still hurting and that's
the new person. The new person,
exactly.
But you still got all these band-aids on you.
So you can't be present in the moment and really experience the process of being with that person, getting to know that person. Exactly.
And it may also go to, sometimes you hear people now seem to brag about having trust issues. And, I talk about how I have this wall up, but you see online all the time, I know I got trust issues. People wear it like a badge of honor. Mm-hmm. But I think that goes back to what y'all are saying, that they're not letting go of some things in the past and doing the work right now. So it's like, cut that out with the hashtag trust. I know I got trust issues, whatever they put out there, the young folks put on social media. Okay. But I think they need to recognize, if you are a person that's sitting in that seat, okay, what do I got to do to move past this? So I want to pose this question. Have any of you ever personally found yourself to be bitter with an ex well after the relationship was over? Why not?
Absolutely. And I guess I'll tell my story real briefly. So, in high school, I dated a guy. He was my high school sweetheart. My senior year, I ended up getting pregnant. Didn't know I was pregnant. Ended up having a ectopical pregnancy, which is where the child was growing in my fallopian tube. I had to have an emergency surgery. Got my right ovary and my right fallopian tube removed. I was super traumatized because at the time, I think I was 17. My mom was a minister. I had love and support, but when you have that parent that's in the church and has a certain expectation for you and you disappoint them, that's a heavy weight. So going through that situation, going through that surgery, and then thereafter me and the gentleman broke up. So it was very traumatizing for me to get over that situation, because I didn't feel like I had the resources, the tool, the support, and just the education. I had mentioned to the ladies previously that in high school I didn't have sex education. So there were a lot of things I felt that not necessarily set me up for failure, but didn't necessarily help me to succeed in that aspect of dating and being so young. So make to a long story short, I carried that baggage going forward. There were several guys that I dated. I remember one in particular broke my heart. I had a conversation with my mom, and she said some things to me that still resonates today. She said, well, Krystal, maybe you're looking for the wrong type of guy, or maybe you're dating the wrong people. Maybe you need to evaluate what you're looking for. So with that being said, there was this other gentleman that was strictly a friend. Me and him started a relationship, and I started to think of him in a different way. So I tried to, pursue us a little bit, and, we were kind of moving in a positive direction, started dating. And I remember there was a situation where we started talking about the future and marriage, and he brought up kids, and I was like, well, I don't want to have kids. And he was like, well, why not? So I explained to him the story about me in high school, and he convinced me to go to counseling. I went to counseling, and it was something that I felt like I needed. No one other than him had told me about this. Yeah. Or, that this being an option to help relieve my emotions, my feelings, because I held a lot of guilt. Yeah. Not only from the situation, but feeling like I was a bad daughter, that I was stupid in a sense, because we all, been in them young relationships where we feel like we in love and we chasing this guy, and he's really not he was off. He took somebody else to prom. I'm still kind of limping. Yeah. So it was traumatizing for me. But I went to counseling, and I kid you not, every time I went to that session, I let out tears. And I remember the last session, I pulled up and I was in my car and I was just bawling, crying, tears everywhere. And I hadn't even stepped in there yet, but I knew it was coming. But when I say it was so powerful, it helped me to see the situation in a different light. We did a lot of exercises that helped me heal, not only physically, but I think I was holding a lot of barriers on my body to where it helped me to open up and feel just free physically, and mentally it helped me to realize, like, girl, you still the shit, like you you can move forward and you can get over this. And so I started doing some work on myself, and eventually I got to a point where I said, okay, I think I want to have kids. I'm gonna try this. And life since then has been.
So you got over the bitterness.
I got over. It took a long time, but I eventually got over it. I did, and I was angry with that ex for a really long time because you asked that question. His mom just had a 50th birthday and invited me, and she's always been Team Krystal. She came to my wedding, which wasn't to her son. She came to my baby shower, which wasn't the baby of her son, but she's always been Team Krystal and supported me. So when I got the invite and the notification that she was having a 50th anniversary, I said, I'm gonna go, because she's always supported me, and I appreciate that from her, because she was a support for me.
Well, she didn't have to be,
and she didn't have to be, and he was there, and we cordially laughed and talked, and kind of did a small little catch up with each other. But there was times where I was super angry at him for abandoning me, leaving me, putting me in that situation.
And when you was in it, I'm sure you probably thought you would never be okay.
I didn't think I was capable of being loved by anyone, because at that point I had a scar. To me, that was embarrassing. That was a disgrace. And then not only that, I didn't feel handicapped because physically I'm able to move around my day. I don't look like a person that's unhealthy, but to know that I only have one ovary and one fallopian tube, and someone put me in that situation, and not to put it all on him, because I was a little fast and horny too back then. So not to put it all on him, but I'm the one who's missing something that has the scar. He moved on with his life. So I felt like that was baggage. How am I going to tell the next guy that I'm dating where this scar came from? Or how would I tell my future husband, there's a possibility that I may not be able to have kids because I only have one ovary and one fallopian tube. So the chances for me to have a kid is a little less, likely that I would versus somebody else. So those are things that consciously kept weighing on me, and it just kept bringing down guilt. But I got over it. I did, and life is good.
Yeah, you work through it, and that's what it's about. Yeah. So have you all experienced anything like that with an ex? I would say I did with a situationship. I literally It is not a laughing matter, people.
A rowboat. Situationship.
I feel you.
I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all wanna?
I think that in a relationship that I was in, and I guess this is the other Krystal, I'll just tell a portion of mine. I was in a situation where a situationship, and I ended up getting pregnant, and then but this guy was in a relationship, which I didn't know at first, but then I found out, but then I was already pregnant, and then the other girl was pregnant, so we both had kids that are really close in age, 2 weeks apart, and I thought that, nothing was going to be okay. Nobody was going to want me with a child, and then I got in another relationship, and he was there. He was there for my daughter and there for me, and everything was working well, but then that also ended with us having children that are similar in age, close in age, and I just thought that the only way that I was going to get out of that at first was to be so angry, because I was going through the grief steps, and I was so angry, and I was a little bitter at the beginning, and I just wanted the both of them to just hurt.
Yes.
Because I was hurt, and I was like, I don't care if they lose their job, if they go back to jail. I don't care what they do. I just need
lose
them
a foot
to be hurt because
they
hurt me. So this isn't fair. They gotta hurt. Just hurt. And I was bitter, but I was mad, and I was hurt, and I was angry. And then when I started to begin to really want to heal and really want things to be different in my life, for my next relationship and for my future husband, I then started to realize that God was not pleased with me wanting them to hurt in that way. And like me wanting to see them be hurt.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's like
so
God's
true.
not gonna bless you when you're wishing bad on somebody, even though, yes, they did some very hurtful things, but like God's not going to bless you because you're wishing bad on them, in which we know He's in control of all, and if something's going to happen, it's going to happen to them or whatever the case may be. And then it doesn't allow you to operate at your highest or to, you know, to vibrate higher when you really are wanting somebody else
to hurt.
But
I'm going to put a pin right there in what you're saying so we can dive into that, because that is so true about the hurt. Because in every situation where I felt like somebody had did me wrong, in my mind, I'm like, I need for you to feel exactly what I'm feeling.
To see it.
Yeah, I want proof. Yeah, like
I want
to see it in action. I want to see you. I want to see you cry. Cry now. I want to see you. I want to see you in your bed for days. I want to see you suffering the way that I did. And it was almost like I was in situations where it's like, I feel like I'm not gonna move past this until this Negro is until he get it. Till he is as jacked up as I am right now. But then you have to realize, like, shit is not about to go like this.
Right.
Like, you have to wake up at some point to say, like, I gotta some way, somehow figure out how to move past this hurt stage, because some people sit in that hurt stage forever and never come out of it. So you can carry on, but I wanted to point out that that hurt stage is real and it's hard to move past it.
It definitely is. And I think just going back to when we were talking about like it holding you back from your next situation, the visual that I see is like trying to go up a hill, and when you get in a new relationship, sometimes you have a lot of momentum, so you're running and it's good, but then eventually you get to that place where you fall back down. You fall back down the hill because you haven't fully dealt with what was going on and with all that hurt. Rather it be, yes, I'm with this new person, but I still want that nigga to hurt over there. I don't care what y'all talking about. He need to hurt or whatever it is, until you get to that space where it's like really a mindset change of, okay, his hurt, like I can't be sitting in the mess of if he's gonna get hurt or not, because that may be something that I never see. He may be hurting
right now. He may be hurting,
and I don't know what hurt looks like. And I just don't really know what his hurt is, and it's okay if I don't see it, because I can't really worry about that, because at the end of the day, I have to move forward. I have to do the steps and put in the work so that I can do better. So I think once we get a mindset change to want to like let that go, then we can vibrate higher and be our best self in our next relationship.
It just takes you getting in that headspace, like, okay, I'm gonna let this be where it is. I can't worry about it. What you just said, it may be things that our eyes will never see.
And even with going forward with the new relationship, I think sometimes we get paranoid about situations that may have encountered, or we might have, been a victim of, or had emotions. It's always good to have judgment, good judgment calls and just good discernment about people's situations. You don't never want to be in a situation where it's redundant, or hopefully you did learn from it to where, you're not going through it again.
Not signing up for the same shit twice.
Yeah. Not every person is deceitful, whereas if we're paranoid, like for me, every guy that wanted to date me, I was like, well, I don't want kids. If they got too chummy about wanting to have kids, he wasn't the one for me. I would cut him off. I would move on. In my mind, I was like, man, I might have to date somebody that's about, let me give it an odd number, maybe about 17 years older than me. I already got kids, already stable. Somebody who wants to skip over that chapter, because for me, that's not something that I want. Like,
at the time, you just thought that wasn't the direction you were going to go.
It was scary for me. I didn't think, even if I did get pregnant, the emotional, like, just trauma. I didn't think I could do it again. And being that I did it alone, I don't want to be in that situation. I have friends and people who, unfortunately, are in situations where they're single parents. I just didn't want to do it. So, it was a paranoid feeling for me to meet somebody and for them to try to get close or to bring up the topic, it would make me uncomfortable, and I would get nervous, paranoid, anxiety. I get psycho in the head. A lot of different emotions.
Or just shut it down.
All of that. it wasn't for me. But
now tell me this, since we are talking about, shutting stuff down when you don't think that it is for you. And I read this a lot, both sides of the coin. Do you guys think closure is real? And if it is real, who is it for?
I think that closure, just because I feel like I was just on this journey, like since this summer, that, oh my God, I need to have closure from this. And I need to like be okay with whatever choices he's making. This is with the guy that I had a child with. Like I need closure.
And what when you say I need closure, in your mind, what was closure for you?
In my mind, closure was like, for me, it was like being okay with the fact that, okay, we're not in a relationship, but that because we have a child, so we have to co-parent, but that we can co-parent peacefully, and it's not like bringing up all this stuff, but yes, for him to acknowledge and apologize what happened or what part he played in it, like, yes, okay, this is what happened, I'm fully aware, I wronged you in this way, I'm sorry, and like for us to move forward. And so I was seeking this closure, and I had written it in the sand when I went to the Bahamas and all of these things. And I was like, it rained in the Bahamas, and I was like, God heard me. Like, it's done. I wrote it down. He washed it away. It's done. And then I got back, magical. And it wasn't done. I was like, God, what happened? And like, it was raining and everything. Like, it was real. But it was like, no, like, this is the beginning of it, but there's just so much more work than just, if you thought that's how the book was going to close, it's not. It's still a journey of, like she said earlier, about triggers. What about this situation is even triggering you to where you're like, I just want to be done with this and I want to have closure. But then also with having kids, how can you really ever close that chapter when I gotta see you? I gotta deal with you. So it's like,
people think it just stops at 18.
No,
it's forever.
I gotta deal with you.
Do you know how irritated I am with my mom right now?
Yes,
my 20s.
It's
my daddy. It don't end.
So I think
forever.
I think like the true closure will come within yourself of closing that experience. Closing that relationship and what happened or how it wronged you. But like, if you have kids, I'm speaking on with kids with somebody, there's no closure to that. Like,
and I think sometimes that's when you wind up, unfortunately, sometimes with parents on either side that are just bitter, and it's a terrible situation of co-parenting because they were wanting that closure. And it's like, sis, even if he was to say, I'm sorry, XYZ, you still gotta look at his ass.
Period.
And it may make something rise up again every time I see him. It's not like when you don't have kids, I could never ever see you again.
Yeah.
You go off into the abyss and it's nothing. So do you feel like you got closure from that? Outside of, like, it is no closure because you have children, but did you ever get like the apology that you wanted?
I would say I got some apologies, but they weren't the apologies that I wanted. It was just like, I said I was sorry.
The worst closure.
Right. But it's like, but you really did, like, we didn't sit down, because I want us to sit down and have a conversation.
Talk about like, everything.
Clearly, let's just put it all on the table. And then sometimes it's like, but for what reason?
Because even after the conversation's done, what are we going to do with this?
Right. At the end of the day,
it won't change any circumstances.
Exactly. And it may, some things that he may say may, like, make me feel even worse.
Yeah.
Or
once the real truth comes out.
It's just like, at the end of the day, if it ended, and we, in our situation, have to raise this child. So how can we be our best at that?
Yeah.
Like,
let's just focus our energy on that.
Right. And I think for me, it has gotten to a point where, as far as the relationship, because like when you're in a relationship with somebody and you're like, oh my God, I'm so crazy, I'm head over heels, like I'm
so in love.
I'm so in love. And then when you get out of that relationship with them, you start realizing like, ew, like I was crazy about this nigga right here.
Like
gross.
Like that's what I want. You be looking at pictures like, man, that nigga really ugly.
Like what? So
why y'all ain't tell me call your friends? Why y'all ain't tell me he was ugly?
They like, bitch, we did tell you. You did not want to hear what we were saying.
So I think for me, I think for me, I'm there, because I'm like, ew, like I I had a kid with you, and like
Yeah.
I was in love. Like, nigga, I was gonna marry you. What
like,
was I thinking?
Like, my thinking cap was not on.
What happened? Like, I was drunk the whole time or something. I don't know, but
I get it. But I think that's really when you, some people may beg to differ, but I think when you really like wake up and you see the person, like when they stripped of everything, and you see who they are, you like, that's not it. Because I literally look back at some exes or even people from situationships, and I'm like, it's crazy when you have people, you're like, yeah, I used to date so-and-so, and people are like, what? Like, you dated that? Yeah, bad time in my life. Don't judge me. Yeah,
dog head down.
No judgment.
I just needed somebody trying to figure it out,
Exactly.
So we all have those experiences.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said about closure. Even coming from like someone that doesn't have children and is single, I've had multiple relationships where they've been very toxic, and there's a number of things. But there was one. And that was one of the ones afterwards, and I was like, ugh, God, am I serious? Why did I, ugh?
Y'all should see that face.
Because I really look back like, this is terrible. But no, even with like that relationship, we did have a situation, because he was like deployed or something, and so we broke up at one point, and then I had to go through my whole process. It was a whole thing, and then after he got back, it was like months later, he went to meet up and sit down and like talk to me. So he was like apologizing to me and stuff, and first of all, it just didn't touch me. Like, it just didn't, it went nowhere. It was just, okay. Yeah. What was that for? But then I realized, when I was like in the process of trying to heal myself and not going into a lot of like negative habits and stuff, I realized, that really people apologizing to you is only for them. It's not really for you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I expect you to like show changed actions. If you really mean it and you say these things, okay, all right. I really don't care when people apologize to you. Right. And so it's just like, okay, but are you gonna be different? Like, are you are you gonna move different? How So when we were talking, it was good to hear his side of it, and so he could hear me. But then I was just like, what is the point of this? Like, I don't want anything with you or for, like, there's no point. So I got my closure with myself.
Once that's when you truly have your own closure. Exactly. When it's like, sir, you can say whatever you want. I didn't even hear it. You sound like, what's it, Charlie Brown, like Snoopy. I'm not even hearing nothing.
It was pointless. You could have kept that.
That's how I know, because with exes, I literally have been dealing with, they've been trying to, inch back in, creep back in, still want to talk to you. And when I get to the point, like, I feel nothing when I hear from you. And I don't care what you're saying or what you promised to do. That's when I know I moved on, because I dealt with someone that it was the same way. I wanted this apology, but I wanted it to be full and say all these things. And I'm a person, I used to say my new love language is gifts. I just added that to the top of my list. That ain't really what the test said, but that's what I'm going by. And I used to be like, well, I need you to show up with flowers, a Hallmark card, some chocolate. And I'm thinking, like, if this nigga really show up with all this, I'm probably going to throw it at him, throw it in the trash. I'm going to do something real trifling with it anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's not really what you wanted. But you have to, I realized that I had to work through it myself without them even being involved. Right. And it takes time.
It does. Yeah. It really does.
Another thing that I realized, like, okay, I'm over this situation. I'm like not bitter. It's because I was so wrapped up in like what would trigger him or what would make him angry, and so I would kind of like tiptoe around things, or just maybe not even just be myself, because he's not gonna like that, or he may say something, or I don't care what. Yeah, it may upset him, but now I'm just like, who cares? It's like fearless with. I don't care if this upsets you or hurts your feelings, or if I say your name the wrong way, because you know, whatever it is, I don't care, because that's not important to me. It's to make you be super super comfortable or super super happy. Like,
your comfortability is not number one on my list.
Right, I don't care about that.
And that's when they know it's a good sign. Oh, you really done with somebody. I always say, you start being real, like disrespectful too.
Yes.
Like, I don't say any fucking thing. Like,
and that's how
I am. Are you just gonna say this to me? Yeah. Like, I don't even care how you gonna react, what you gonna do.
And it just gets to a point where you just hold yourself in that high regard, like, after dealing with a situation. And I also believe, like, when people show you who they are, like, it's taking. My mom has the gift of discernment. That's just something that she's always ain't never been a person that I have like let my mom meet. And it's not even like I've met my mom meet very few men, but actually like my friends and people like that. She always like, you need to watch her. You need to do this. Ain't
a spirit.
She ain't never been wrong. She ain't never been wrong ever. And so, you know, I've learned to like really pick up on that within myself. And so like after like that situation, because she used to try to say like all kinds of stuff to me, just like really emotionally manipulated me a lot. And when I stepped out of that, I didn't realize how bad it was. Yeah. I didn't realize how like toxic it had been, and I was like, hold on. Wait, we gotta do something. This is something else. So when he did come back, when we had this whole conversation, we tried to be quote unquote friends, and it wasn't like at this point I didn't even want nothing like romantic or sexual or anything with him. I was like, we could be cool, like that's cool, whatever. And he would try me. Of course, we hang out. He's like, oh, you want to stay, have some wine? I'm like, sure, I'll drink your wine, but
I'm leaving.
Exactly. I don't know what you think's gonna happen
in 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so it would be situations, like that, and he would be like trying to do little stuff or whatever, and I'm just like, bro, I see who you are now. Yeah. I have no desire. I don't
at all.
You're gross. Yeah. I was like, you're gross because I see the type of person that you are. I see all the trauma and stuff that you haven't healed from, and I don't want to be a part of it because I don't work too hard on this piece over here. So you're not about to come over here and bring me that. But you
all
can
your
keep
toxicity.
You can keep trying if you want to, but it's not
or you
can
direct that energy somewhere else.
Exactly, and I think he did, and then he had a kid. It was like great, good for you.
Yeah, carry on. I hope it works out with y'all.
I know, please.
So now I know it can be easier said than done, but how can a person actually trust that they will be okay if they find themselves in a situation where they have to, say, leave a relationship, they have to do the breaking up with somebody, or they've been broken up with, or just if they're in a toxic situation, because I think the hardest part is, and from my experience, I had to go through a breakup, and I was the one who was going to do the breaking up, and I had to decide in my mind. But we know a lot of times as women, we'll break up with a person before we do it months ahead of time. We plan things out. We're strategic. So
I'm just staying with you because Christmas coming up and I want my gift.
Yeah, look, whatever the case may be, whatever the circumstances
3rd.
are. So, but how can a person trust that they are going to be okay if they pull the trigger to do whatever it is they need to do?
I would say that you always have to think about all the things that you've been through in your life that you didn't think you were going to be okay from, and then you're here. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's the thing. I think heartbreak sucks and stuff, but once you have one, like another one is just like, okay. And it's like, okay, it hurts. It hurts. It's terrible, but it's still like, okay, it's what it's gonna be okay. But I think it also comes with just realizing that things are lessons. So if you really choose to shift your perspective in the situation and be like, okay, if I didn't find out that he was this way, then I would have been in a marriage with somebody, and it would have been terrible. Like, let me see the silver lining in that. Let me see
I didn't go that far.
That I didn't go that far. That I got that I got what I needed from that situation. And clearly, I was asking to be brought out, because there's a lot of times, even when I've noticed with myself, when it comes to like dealing with relationships and stuff with people, it's like I'll be doing a lot of spiritual work on myself and stuff. And so I'll be like, trying to really like, work with God to create certain things in my life and manifest certain things in my life. And then people started just dropping like flies, whether it is like a boyfriend or this and that, or just a friend or somebody.
Hang their own self.
Exactly, right. And so you like, hold on, what is going on? And I'm like, but wait, I asked for this. I asked for.
You didn't know how it was gonna show up,
right? I said I wanted to clear out these things that was holding me back, And so then I realized, okay, I'm gonna be okay. Like, and then I also just think about different things that I've just been through in my life, stuff that had nothing to do with relationships. That was just, me and my family, or me and me going through different things with my mental health or stuff like that. And I'm like, what, girl? You done been through a lot. You done been through a lot. You can do this, right? But you will have your moments where you break, and you will have your moments where you feel like you can't keep going, and you have those moments where you like, okay, you will.
Read that question again.
It said, how can you actually trust that you will be okay if you find yourself in a situation that's toxic, or whether it's you had to leave a relationship, a breakup, be broken up with? How do you know you're going to be okay?
So my advice is for self-awareness and self-love. When you get to a point where you know your worth, you know who you are as a person, you know what you deserve as a person, it makes some of the other tests and some of the other bullshit that might, come in life, it makes it easier for you to kind of filter through stuff and people that you don't want.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you have that perception, you can weed out some of the issues that people may bring, and you won't have those tasks to go through, or those situations to have to go through. But if you do get in a situation to where it's becoming toxic, or whatever the outcome is, I feel like if you know your self-worth,
key,
you're gonna always be okay. So for me, like, the guy that I told y'all about that I dated in college that told me to go to the therapist and all of that, I just knew me and him was going to be together.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thought of me giving him energy, trying to work on a relationship with him, I put that energy into him. And to come to find out, he disappeared on me. I didn't know where he went. Was reaching back out to him, and then a while later he popped back up and he told me he was married. And I was like, "You married?" Like,
what was a while later? How long? About how long?
He went missing probably about 4 months
And came back with a wife.
and popped up and was like, "I got something to tell you." And I was thinking he either gay, he got a kid, I don't know, just something random.
You didn't think
but
it was gonna be that?
He was gay. I mean, never that he was married. I'm sorry, never that he was married, because we spent so much time together. Like, how can you hide a whole nother wife? Like, when this happened, where was I at? But
who else? Both of y'all, side chick, whatever. She probably might not have been requiring a lot.
Well, that's true. But even with that, the wife reached out to me and she had one of them voices like, "I know you know who I am, so let's
Barbara,
just."
This is Shirley.
No, I don't know who you are. Because to be honest, I just found out that there is a you. So, let's not get this shit twisted.
Yeah.
Because he's been chasing me. He's always chased me.
Let's be clear.
So let's be very clear. And with that being said, I kind of knew my self-worth. And I knew what I wanted and what I deserved. Even though the hurt was still there.
Yeah.
That was like what she mentioned. You may go through it in a sense. Hold on, I'm losing my train of thought. You may go through it, but I knew I was gonna be okay
because you knew your worth.
I knew my worth. I was gonna say, because he showed the person that he was. He showed his card. So if you can do that to your wife, or if you can be this deceitful to where you're in a full blown relationship with me, calling me, sleeping with me, giving me energy, it's like I dodged the bullet. So you can have him.
Exactly.
So to me, it's like I know my worth. So both of y'all can, kick rocks with y'all shenanigans. Even though it hurts, I'm going to get over this.
Right.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, that was then, and I've gotten over it. And if I was to compare him to what I got now, I would be a fool to have settled for that situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Not knowing what God had planned and prepared for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's so much better.
And I definitely agree with that. Even when I was talking about, that situation when he came back and then, he would try it now and then. If I hadn't spent time working on myself and working on self-love, self-care, working on my, all these different things, I probably would have just been like,
real vulnerable.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
or not even just that.
happy to
or
be
just
here.
being like, okay,
I got somebody.
Right.
I got somebody.
And let me just settle. But then I had gotten to a place where I was like, Nick, are you kidding? You don't even deserve to smell my shit.
Right.
Okay, like you don't even deserve to even look at it.
Right.
Okay.
Vulnerable.
You don't deserve to even breathe my
same air I'm breathing.
Hello. You
we
don't
get
even
comfortable and vulnerable with things
outta
and
here.
people that are familiar, not knowing what the future can hold.
Yeah.
But
If you don't know your own value,
if you don't know
worth,
your own value
and
and
haven't
worth.
done the work, you have to do it, because that's why now I feel when I do have exes, because for some reason, a lot of exes, when you sing, they don't never want to go away, and they want to come back around, and it's like, I'm very clear, we have nothing to talk about.
Nothing.
Even if it was 6 months ago, it was a different conversation. Now I know my value, and they say, when a woman's fed up and when a woman knows her worth, it's nothing you can do or say.
And it might still hurt. It may still hurt. The hurt may
I'm
never
hurt at home by my damn self.
But it will get so much better with the hurt, knowing like your value and just keeping an outline of what you deserve, what you know you gonna get. It'll hurt, but it's gonna feel so much better when you get to reaching all those goals and God gives you all those things. You're gonna look back and laugh, like how y'all doing now with these exes, and being like,
so
that's what I was with.
That's what I was doing.
I think that sometimes, like, as you guys have said, of course, there's self-care and self-love, but, like, actually taking that time to do some personal development, like, daily. And when you wake up, you just have to remember, like, today is a gift, and I have survived 100% of, like, the worst days of my life.
Yes.
Right? And, like, even if it's not, like she said, relationship, it could be life. It could be a illness, a sickness, whatever. I've survived 100% of those days. I could definitely survive this day too. And then I just want to leave you with a quote with that too: is that nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah.
So if you don't do the work to change your circumstances, change your mindset, change your perception of this relationship and the people that you've been dating, nothing changes if nothing changes.
So very true. And something else that's related to that, I was reading earlier. It says that this one person in talking about, being okay. He said, I know, as a person, he was speaking about himself. He said, I know that I crave certainty, but that control is an illusion. And that stood out to me because I think in life, especially I would say as a single person, we sometimes want to know, like, okay, this next one's gonna be it. We gonna get it right. He's gonna do X, Y, Z. We want to control it and get it right there. Yeah. And so I think sometimes that's why we don't know our worth when that ex comes back around or somebody new. We latch on to it because we want what we want if that's where we are wanting a relationship. But I feel like control really is an illusion because we are not in control of any of this. But what you said about we've survived 100% of our worst days. If you can survive, if you're listening to this, you think about maybe one of the worst days of your life. I'm sure we all can put that in our mind. And you got past that. You have to know that when it comes to relationships, you're dealing with another human. And when you put perspective on it, when we think about a breakup and say a death in the family, they don't even compare. But when you're going through it, it feels like a piece of you is dying.
Yeah, it's a grief.
It is a grief. And as they say, it is almost like dealing with the death.
Losing something.
Yeah, it's almost like losing a loved one chemically when you do go through that. So it's not to discount it like it's not real, especially if it's like a divorce, you've been married, whatever the case may be. But you still have to know that you are going to be okay through all of that. So another part of it is I think sometimes we have to embrace the surprise of life. That you roll the dice and all this shit. Relationships, that's what they are. It don't matter if you're single, you're dating, you're married, whatever. Every day you wake up and roll the dice and you hope that, 7-Eleven? What you trying to hit? Look, I should know this. No better than my family. Look, whatever. You trying to hit whatever it is that you need to hit in order to stay in it. So I think that ultimately we just have to know we cannot control everything. And we cannot count on life going exactly how we want to, but we still have to know that we'll be okay. So what do you think about this?
Let me just say something before you move there. That I went to this church and the pastor was like talking about moving on and getting past situations. And then like you just mentioned with death, when somebody dies, like they're not here. Physically here. They're not coming back to us. Like I can't go call you and I can't go see you. Yeah. But if somebody ends a relationship with us, like there are other people that I can talk to or interact with and they may come back. And he was like, specifically he was sitting with his grandma and his aunt and they were talking about, and like they were really boohoo crying and like, oh my God, this person has died. And he was like, yeah, I totally understand. And everybody's sad, but he's like, I'm about to go to Popeyes, like I'm about to go get some chicken. And so in the midst of them like boohoo crying, like, oh my God, they like, bring me a thigh, bring me a wing. And he's like, but y'all was just crying, but we gotta eat. Yeah. So like even in the end of a relationship, like I still gotta eat. Yeah. So I still gotta get this together, get up, put my big girl panties on, and I still gotta do what I gotta do. Because even if in death, if life goes on, at the end of a relationship, life goes on.
It goes
on.
Don't
stop.
I gotta eat. Don't stop.
No show. It goes
and
on.
I like the Lizzo song. Sorry, I know you got
no. You fine.
I love that song because I think it's empowering. It's
Truth Hurts.
Could have had a bad bitch. Check my nails. How you feeling, girl? I'm feeling good as hell. Yeah, I like that song. I just feel like that's another example of encouragement and reassuring yourself. Mm-hmm. Like whatever it takes to get you out of that funk, to help you cross over that bridge of the grief. Like whatever. I remember watching Gabrielle Union's show and she had all them Post-it notes. And she had them all over her.
I used to always be like, please don't let me wind up like being Mary Jane.
But that was her coping skill. That was something that she had to put in place.
Post-it notes everywhere. Great job. Great this. No man.
No man. But look, she had options too, though.
They was fucked up options.
But she was fucked up too.
That's why I said, don't let me wind up.
But she was working on herself.
This is true.
And she had those Post-it notes that kind of helped to motivate her.
Yeah. Ooh. But that is a way to like constantly remind yourself of who you are. Because a lot of these people that we've dated have left some stuff in us.
These scars.
In our subconscious that we don't even know we even thinking about or dealing with, whether it be, you too big, you did. Whatever it is, so we have to remind ourselves in some kind of way that no, I'm not what they said I am.
It's a scar. Like
I'm not the lie they told about
my
me.
cut. It was hurtful. It happened. I know it's there. There's a scar. So there's something that always gives me the remembrance or a reminder that it was there. So we have scars that people in situations have left on us, but we got to figure out a way to motivate ourselves to keep it pushing, because at the end it's gonna be okay.
Always. And on that note, we'll be right back with the Living Single segment. All right, so this brings us to the Living Single segment of the podcast. I'm going to read a message that I got from a listener, and we are going to all answer it based on what we would do. So this one says, my boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years, and this year I think he forgot my birthday. We don't live in the same city, but we communicated the entire day on my birthday via phone and text message. And I was waiting for him to acknowledge it, and he never did.
What?
The next day came, and he still did not mention it.
Girl,
right
bye.
now, we are a week past it, and I am furious. What should I do? So, Krystal, what do you think, Pastor Senior? Krystal, what do
He
you do?
missed the whole day. You can talk to him the whole day. Yeah, the senior podcast. So it's a whole day that y'all talk, and a whole week that came by. If he didn't do like the doorbell ring with the Amazon box and pop out of it as a surprise, then yeah, he done forgot.
So what would you do?
What would I do? I would probably get a bomb light and take some good photos. I do my makeup real good, make sure my edges is laid. I call all my girlfriends. We gonna go out, have fun, and then when I do talk back to him, I'm gonna tell him about all these gifts and drinks and all this money. I would go cash out my whole bank account and like end it on my shirt, and I would take a picture of all this money I got. I don't know, but I wouldn't make it seem like I skipped a beat.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: if you're not gonna make it seem like you skipped a beat, I'm gonna just say, sis, you probably the side chick. He skipped a beat because
but I'm gonna be skipping with somebody else.
He didn't remember, and he's skipping it with somebody else.
Yeah,
I think he had another relationship.
He didn't remember because it wasn't important. Like he didn't send you nothing. He didn't do nothing. That's because he was putting his energy somewhere else.
And it's clear.
He worked like 3 jobs. Like this.
He live out of town.
Some more information.
We gonna tell you, sis, you need to do some investigating. Start digging in social media. Start digging in Google. Start digging wherever.
Start popping up. Yeah, do that.
You may find out.
Greyhound.
I don't know about popping up.
This one.
Do not pop up.
Yeah, I don't know about popping up.
I'm the queen. But if you've been in a relationship with somebody for 2 years, you shouldn't have to make no excuse to surprise nobody.
He should know where your birthday is.
He should know at least a month and start asking you, okay, what day is it?
2 years, he should know the day.
Because at least one of them came, depending on when the start date.
I'm going to be on the job in the employee
well, the To Be Single or Not To Be podcast is not condoning you popping up.
Do not pop up.
I can see you with a construction hat on, undercover.
with a vest.
Right.
So the consensus is either you can get online on social media, make it look like you are having a time of your life, even though your birthday's gone already. So just make it look like you still fine.
You gotta make it look like somebody else made you feel special and you had the time of your life. Go to the club, find somebody that that look like they well put together. Tell them to put their arm around you and take a picture. It's too much not to remember my birthday.
Yeah. I would definitely say something. I would be like, my birthday was a week ago.
Right. I definitely would say something.
And then maybe move differently.
So what?
Yeah.
And then at that point, it's like, okay, so I see that I am not a part of your priority.
But you need to say that in person. You need to pop up and say that in person and see what his face is.
We don't need to pop.
She wants you to have a conversation in person.
FaceTime that nigga. Okay, so I see that I'm not a priority.
Clearly.
I see that. So I'm gonna make sure that I adjust my priority.
Right, and
that because I don't have time, because I care about your things. I expect the person that I'm with or whatever to care about what I got going on or do whatever.
Especially my birthday.
Yeah,
especially my birthday. That's my holiday. Like, come on. So okay.
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna move a little differently.
So I agree. I think that whether you choose to pop up or not is on you, not us. But I think the conversation definitely.
You definitely
have to have the conversation. Let him know that it's clear I'm not a priority. So we're gonna take this. Gonna take this title off of here. This boyfriend girlfriend. Right. Clearly I'm not that. Right. And we're just both gonna move differently. So
yeah.
And if that don't work out, sis, if you try to run games, leave them.
Right. I say move differently.
Yeah, move differently. Change your energy right now. You got to. And if you have a question for us in the future, please send it to Instagram, Shanna Montana. No, actually, Instagram, To Be Single or Not To Be is our new Instagram page. Or Facebook, you can inbox Shanna Montana.
Whoop, whoop.
And we'll be right back with the second part of this episode. All right, so we are back. And what we want to go into is, since we are talking about going through situations and for, no matter what, you are going to be okay. One of the Krystals is going to share something that she recently posted on Facebook that really just resonated with so many people and myself. And that's what prompted me to ask her to come on the podcast to share her story. So she is going to read that, and then we'll continue the conversation around it.
Okay, guys, so I posted this with a picture of me in a wedding dress as one of my flashback memories. And it just says, from the year 2015, around this time, life had me engaged and ready to become a wife. I was literally just one day free of the aftermath of leaving my anxiety meds in Nashville. I was in Arkansas trying to say yes to the dress and have that magical moment with my mom. I had no idea that I left my meds and no idea how sick I would be as a result. My body went through withdrawals that I could only describe as what I have seen on TV with heroin addicts. My mom was worried, I was panicked, and my dad was prayerful. I finally got meds and started to feel better, and I found my dream dress. I was so worried about the things that I couldn't control in that season that it was silently killing me from the inside out. And so from this day on, I knew I had work to do. So my growth moment, year 2019, I'm not married, but I'm okay. I don't take those meds, and I'm okay. I was anxious and depressed, but I'm okay. So the moral of my story here was that whatever life throws at you, you will be okay too. If you take some time to take care of yourself, begin your journey to better your mental health, because it matters to someone if you are not okay.
It absolutely does, and I love that. So what led you, I thought you was crying. What led you to be okay? Because that's a lot what you read. To go from 2015 in your wedding dress and now not in one, not married. The plan did not go as you thought.
Yeah, it definitely didn't at all go how I wanted it to, how I envisioned it. But once I started to realize that my plans are not God's plans. Like, his plans are so much greater for me than what I could ever think of. And I just really had to start doing the work on my mental health before just focusing on that relationship, because it all just went together. Because in my relationship with being anxious and being depressed and things like that, he didn't fully understand what was going on, and I couldn't really tell him because I don't really know. I'm just going through it. I'm just in the middle of it.
Would you say the relationship was causing the anxiousness and the issues?
No, I would say it helped fuel. I mean, it fueled the anxiousness, yes, but the bigger cause was postpartum depression, and just my body was there was a chemical imbalance. There was a chemical imbalance from having a baby and just from, life. So him not understanding that with that chemical imbalance and with me needing that additional support, yes, it made things worse. But with me saying the moral of my story is that I'm okay, is that, like I said, we talked about earlier, that if you can survive 100%, you have survived 100% of your worst days. So that day was a horrible, I just knew I was gonna die day because I left that medication. And if I could survive that, then I have to be okay with the fact that if I'm no longer on those medications and I'm not experiencing that daily, I have to be okay with the fact that I'm not in that relationship. Yes, I desire to be married, and I still desire to be married, but when it's time for it to happen, it'll happen. So ultimately, I'm okay.
And how does that feel though, to have gone through an engagement and to not walk down the aisle? Because I'm sure some listeners out there are like, what?
Well, I mean, initially it feels horrible because I was missing homecoming so that I can go look at venues, and I'm out here. It's embarrassing because once you tell people and they're all amped up for it and everybody's excited, and then
it's not like you send out an announcement. You can't send out an announcement. When I'm not engaged anymore, you send out
a year later, you JK, I'm not getting married, and people ask questions. Whether it's people that know you are on social media and they're looking what happened. You don't really want to talk about it, but it kind of is, once you get to a place where I have to know that God has something better for me, I could be in a better situation, or if I had gotten married, what would my life really be like now that you know that person or how they are? It's like we said earlier, the other Krystal, I think like you dodge a bullet when you get to that point, and you're like, this would have been a horrible marriage.
Yeah.
Like, horrible.
And you probably would have stayed in it longer than you needed to.
Right.
Trying to work it out, because that's what we do.
And then
Or keep
especially
face.
with kids, a little bit I can work. No, if it doesn't feel good and it's not serving you, and it's like in that season, what I needed from him was to support me through my mental health issues, like to just love me through that and support me through that, and that's not what happened. So if somebody's not giving you all of those things and pouring into you, then it's definitely okay if you guys didn't end up how you were supposed to
be, or how you thought. You know that, but that's what we talked about. We have to be able to let it go. We crave the certainty, but that control is an illusion.
Right.
And you, like you said, because say if you had gotten married too, you all maybe would have had more kids. And say if you did go through postpartum depression again, to know that I'm signing up for somebody that won't support me through this. It's like I'm walking into a fire and I'm still walking towards it.
Right.
So sometimes they say you want to see God laugh, make plans.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I got something else for you. But why do you think, as women, why do we embrace the irrationality so often, unlike men? Because we just talked about, in that situation, did you make the decision to say, I'm not going to do this? Or did he? Or was it kind of like,
I made the decision to say that I didn't want to do this because of some actions that happened, later on down the line after this specific event. But I made the decision to, walk away from it because it just it didn't make sense anymore. It was just like, the first time, what is it they say? The first time, shame on me.
Second time, shame on you. Third time.
I wanted you to do that to me the third time. I asked for it. That's how I felt. At this point, I want you to mistreat me.
I
gotta go.
Because
you're just gonna keep doing it. And maybe it's not the exact same thing.
You know your worth and your value.
Yeah.
So you got, hit with something that made you think no, this isn't for me.
Right. I don't deserve this.
I don't deserve this.
But why do we sit in situations sometimes we don't deserve and men don't? For example, everybody knows most times, cheat on a man, he out first time.
Yeah, he gone.
We get something happen to us, we stay in it.
I think a lot of times it's also how we're raised too.
Yeah.
Men are they're raised with a different level of confidence in a number of areas.
Yeah.
They have so much confidence in sex, for one, which they're not even that great at.
Right.
But they have so much confidence in that area because they are taught to express themselves in that way. They are taught to experience and to explore that and all those different things, as we're taught to kind of keep that down, to be better. Oh, close your legs, do this. Oh, be more like this. And because this is going to make you more like a wife. This is going to make you more of this or that. We're taught certain things. We're taught different things, and that's just what it is. So a lot of times, which still makes no sense how a lot of men could just be like, oh wait, you had sex with somebody after they done had sex with 15 people, probably at your job, and you done stuck around, but you had sex with one person, and when you was out in Mexico, and now you were home.
Your supervisor was on the list.
And now I'm a hoe.
And now I'm a hoe. Now you done with me. Now, but I think it's we'll stick around. We're taught to kind of be more the constants. We're taught to be the ones that are, try to make things work and try to pick up the pieces and try to stay around and maybe he's just, doing whatever.
He just being a man.
Right.
Boys gonna be boys.
Yeah, boys gonna be
A good
boys.
example of that, and not to get off topic, but T.I., I know y'all heard about the controversy with his daughter. He goes to the OBGYN appointments with her, but
he did the red table talk.
What he doing for his son? Exactly.
I said, you sit your son down, talk about that? No.
Right.
The expectations that your son, they say your son out here fucking, who your son fucking? Other 17-year-olds. So you're not looking at it the same way.
Exactly. Right. And that's why I think it starts kind of there. And then depending on, as a woman, what kind of relationships and interactions with men that you've had, where some of the other ones, where maybe you do take a more submissive role in a relationship, and then that person abuses, there's a difference between actual divine masculine energy and toxic masculine energy, where you're, using that to be very controlling, or for you to just pick apart everything about me instead of really building me up and giving me the environment and the space to be my best self and be the best woman that I can be and the best partner that I can be. It's just, I don't know. I think it's just something weird about that. It's something weird where people don't know how to master the balance between the divine masculine and divine feminine energy.
They don't.
I think men have more options than women, obviously, because
There's a number.
To me, men are
even
charmers.
sexually, because they
can go around, they can charm a girl, they can buy a dinner, you know, and not to say all girls, but, you know, we're vulnerable sometimes for affection and love and attention. Yeah. So I think some women make it easy for men. And so if I'm the girlfriend and me and you into it, most men have options where they can go and call this chick and it's going to be easier with her. So I think men have more options and it's easier for them to find somebody that will settle, you know, and
or not require
us
much.
Strong women, you know, it's hard for us to find that guy that meets all of the check marks that we want because men got too many options. Why would you want to settle for one when you can have this cake, this pie, this ice cream?
When you can have more than one.
And you can have more than one.
But I think it also does go back to like self-worth, because even when you were saying that, if you're in the midst of a situation like that and you feel like that's maybe what you deserve, or you just have never been in a situation where you've seen somebody else bring more than what that person is bringing,
what you're getting,
then at this point, you know, it's like, well, if I leave, then I may not find somebody like that, because then we're also
settling.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, because you feel like that's what you're worth. That's all. Settling is about worth.
I remember when I left the dorms at college and I got my apartment, different guys that I would date would always want to come back to my apartment, and I'm like, no, let's just go to the movies, or let's meet at Chili's, or, you know, somewhere. And I remember this one guy stopped talking to me because I would not invite him to my apartment.
That nigga
but
rapes.
For me, well, I shouldn't say a lot of, but there are situations, especially nowadays, where people watch Netflix, you know, they chill at the house.
Yeah.
For me, I was taught that your home is your safe haven. Yeah. Everybody don't need to be in your personal space. Yeah. So if I'm dating you and I don't really know you, you know, let me get to know you first.
Before I let you in my home.
Before I let you in my home.
But it's all about that. It goes back to that settling worth what women allow, because women do allow, and I know I've been guilty of it, you know, first time hanging out, we at each other's houses. Mm-mm. As you get older, wiser, smarter, and then all is going on in the world, no, you can't come
Everybody
across
don't get that privilege. But that's what I'm saying. If I'm making it hard for him, he can call, you know,
Susie Q.
Keisha Thomas.
Yeah.
Shout out to Keisha Thomas. And, you know, come over to her house. She cooking them dinner. They watching Netflix, you know.
I had a friend tell me she went to a potluck. This girl had a crush on the guy throwing a potluck. This bitch, she brought a whole ham. Said that man did not give a damn about that ham.
He didn't eat pork.
Yeah, right. So, my friend said, bitch, I brought some gum to that potluck. She said,
and he was all over me.
He was all in my face. Yeah,
I brought the peppermint. You in my face.
Right.
Said this girl
I feel like half
slave.
the time when you're not pressed, that is when you meet the ones that you know that you need to, because and not even to be like, you know, because it's not even something negative on the women that are like that,
right?
Because not all women are very vulnerable and want to be like that in relationships. I'm not that woman,
right?
So it takes me now. I'm at the point where I'm open to love, so I'm open to the fact that maybe you could hurt me, maybe you couldn't,
right?
You know, whatever. You're human. You're probably going to hurt me, and I mean to.
You gotta get discernment now.
Yeah, exactly. And now I know it's like, okay, no, you don't deserve to experience that side of me. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't giving enough,
right? It's a difference, but I think it also
get no go.
But I think as also it comes to a point where once you start to like see yourself and see how awesome you are, how much good shit you bring to the table,
and half the time,
exactly the queen you are, and you start to see that worthiness. But also you feel like in relationships you'll feel like, oh my god, that relationship was so great, and then one day I had to look back, I was like, nigga, that was me.
Yeah,
I was feeling myself.
Yeah, that was me.
Let's be clear. Like I had that one relationship. Hold up. Wait, I thought he was so great. I thought he was so good.
No, it was me.
I
was bringing a greatness.
It was me.
But wait, you said something that stuck with me.
What?
It wasn't the video when you was doing all of this, but it was another video. It was your birthday love video.
Yeah.
When you said you hear people, and it's off topic, but it's on topic. When you were like, you hear people say, women can't get along.
Yeah.
Women, you know, cutthroat, it's always something.
Or catty.
And catty. You was like, I don't know them bitches.
Yeah.
All my friends got my back. You know, my friends are supportive. They're encouraging. I feel like as women, we need to be each other's
accountability partners.
And I need to be the jewels that sparkle in your crown. You know?
You also, I agree with that, but you also have to understand, as we all know, because we've all had our peaks and valleys with relationships, a person has to be willing to receive that.
That's true.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
true.
and if they aren't in that space, because I mean, I would say even 5 years ago, I wasn't in the space I'm in now. So had you come, a lot of times a person can come and tell you everything you're doing wrong, and you know they telling you the truth, and you're like, I hear you, but I'm still about to go over
But
there.
your friend don't consistently tell you, because I got friends now that's married, going through divorces, got issues, boyfriends. If you like them, I love them.
Yeah.
If you want to do the pop up, I'm the queen of pop ups. Call me.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes we need that encouragement from one another. Girl, you gonna get.
But I think
he ain't the only one that's gonna love you. You know,
so I think that's a great
having
resource. Having that sisterhood,
and have it, but it has to be healthy people around you too.
Yeah.
It can't just be anybody. It has to be people that are also doing the work with themselves. Because if not, you're gonna have people and be like, you should hate that niggas ain't shit. Like no, be like, you know what, sis, what you learn from it? Okay, how'd you grow? How your heart feeling today? What's going on? You know.
It's like, some niggas ain't shit. However,
right, exactly right.
We gonna move on from them.
But that means we just getting a little
or
closer
when they
to
meet somebody else.
Exactly. That's what we get
when they meet somebody else that shows similar patterns. It's like, nah, sis, I don't know.
You remember last time?
Did you ask him X, Y, and Z, or did you know?
Are you
get
asking
a little
the
bit
right
more
questions?
information? Because I got a friend that I don't know. She keep going through these patterns, and it's like, what you learned from the last one?
Right.
What are we gonna do differently with him? Or did you attempt to ask him this? Because remember, you didn't ask the last one that, then you found out this. So
right.
You have to be clear, but I think that that's definitely a resource. And when this goes right to a great question I was sitting here thinking of, you know, how can we prepare to be okay? Like for example, if you know what is to come, like you have to, you know, I'm about to have to break up with said partner. I know I'm gonna have to get out this situation. I know I got to end this engagement. I know that, you know, I have to walk away from a toxic situation. What can people do to prepare yourself to work through it and come out on the other side of it healed? And
knowing
I think
your self-worth. It goes back to knowing your self-worth. Lizzo, he don't want you, flip your hair, check your nails, get your bag, and say deuces. Because if he don't want you, somebody else will. Love is a beautiful thing. And it just don't stop with one person.
It don't.
I got an aunt that passed away last year, and she was married. My uncle, and this was the wedding I told you I was going to St. Louis on.
Yeah.
He recently got married. Hell, he already married. They having a reception this weekend, and so my family was like blinking, like, okay, well, I just died, you know. But life goes on, and I'm not here to judge. You know, he's up in age. Maybe he's lonely. Maybe he felt, you know, a vibe with somebody that he clicked with. Love is a beautiful thing. It don't just stop once a relationship ends, somebody leaves, someone dies. It continues on. You got one life to live. Ain't nobody gonna live it for you. Can't nobody stop your tears. Can't nobody stop your anger, your depression, your sadness, your guilt, your hurt. Only you can heal and work on those things and move forward. But life does not stop. If one person stopped loving you, it don't mean that somebody else won't.
I agree. If one person stopped loving you, it does not mean that somebody else won't. And I think that more people have to be willing to recognize that. They have to be willing to know that
self-worth.
Self-worth. That's like the key.
You are a jewel, you know?
It is.
One man's junk is another man's treasure.
And then just continue to work on yourself, because there are things that we've dealt with outside of, you know, relationships and stuff that, you know, maybe in our childhoods or whatever, where we need to continue to heal those things, because it is going to affect us in our relationship.
Yeah.
And so just, you know, having, like you said earlier, like self-awareness, like being able to, you know, identify when some things are popping up that are like a little negative and that may hold you back from being able to be present in a relationship with another person. But just kind of doing that work, I'm really like choosing to face all the parts of yourself. That's the key. Because how do you expect someone, this is what made me think of when you were talking earlier and you were saying like, when you were saying about having like the postpartum and having to work through the postpartum depression and anxiety, and okay, this person's not going to help me because clearly he's showing me that he's not going to be able to work through it. But it's like, but that's a part of me too. Yeah, it may not be a part of me long term, but it's a part of me now, right now. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, if you don't love those parts of yourself, if you're not showing love and light to those areas of yourself, then you know you can't, like, you can want people and have a standard for people to love you in totality, but at the same time you have to really really like exhibit those things. You have to really embody the changes and the things that you're making.
Right.
That was one point I wanted to make about closure when we were talking about it earlier, but it was like closure is not necessarily like something that you achieve. I think it's just a state of embodiment. Like it's a state of being. That's something that you get, because you get to that point where you're like, okay, this relationship wasn't just about him. This relationship was about me. Right. And my relationship with myself. My relationship with myself. And you learn that, exactly. You learn that after a while, once all the dust settles and all the, the very clear things of who did what wrong and this and that, you see like, okay, this is actually about me and
me. That embodiment. I love that.
But,
Now, just to piggyback off of that, like as far as doing the work and knowing, like being self-aware, I think that is very important. Like when we're in school, we read books, we listen to sermons, we listen to our favorite songs. We just have to do that like every day because there's like a million negative things that fall on us, and especially in our relationships, that we have to just pour that positivity in us, whether it's listening to podcasts like this or other podcasts, and just starting a book club or reading these different books, just every day being intentional about pouring. If it's praying for our relationship or our future relationship, pouring into ourselves, feeding our mind, all of that good stuff.
Education is continuous. It shouldn't just stop.
In every area of our life, we just have to do that every day, all day.
And positivity, positive friends, people like Shayna. Just positivity. Sometimes, if you can't be the person to lift yourself up, you need to have people in your corner that not only would jump out the bushes with you, because I know I keep joking about that, but if any of my friends were to call me with true life situations needing advice, I'm going to give them sound, lovable, sincere advice, because I want everybody connected to me to win. Yeah. So I do a lot of joking, but it's very important to have a positive circle.
Absolutely.
You always need that uplifting and that support. Everybody needs that.
Because there are those days where you're not going to be. You can have your routines and your self-care and the this and the that. You can be this and that. And there are days when you can't do it yourself. Yeah. There are days when you just can't find it, and you just get lost in that darkness, and you can't find your own light, and it takes you a minute. And so you need those people to be like, okay, let me hold space for you for a second. Let me give you a chance to just feel.
True. Mental health is real.
And I'll go ahead.
Speaking from my little background, mental health is real, and we all have mental health. Everybody deals with depression, anxiety, emotion, sadness, grief. Like we all have it. Some people can manage theirs best than others, and some have a higher peak of whatever the emotion is, but we all have it. Just like she spoke on postpartum, that was real. Me having my son, I had postpartum, and I had feelings, emotions, and I could tell it was a chemical imbalance that was going on, because I couldn't get it together. And so with me going through that, I know stuff is real. I know moods, aggression, anxiety. Like, I know all of that is real. But it can be maintained. You can get through it. You can get past it. Whether if it's encouragement, support, medication. I know a lot of times people shy away from medication because they want to say, oh, that's for crazy folks. Or they don't want to go to counseling. Or they don't want to talk about it.
Everybody's feeling looks different.
Everybody's perspective is different. Yeah. But there are ways to treat stuff. You don't have to suffer with it, and there's always an end to everything. There's always a end result, hopefully a positive result, but you will get through it.
Yes, and one thing that Dr. Jane said, where we have to, like, some people stand in the gap for us when we're going through, because maybe we just can't get it together that day, and we just have to be mindful of giving ourselves grace on those days with whatever relationship that we're in, with ourselves, with others. We have to give ourselves that grace, but we also have to give ourselves look, 24 hours. I'm going to sit in this mess because I can't get out of it in a couple of hours. I'm going to sit in it for 24 hours or however long, and then you got to do the work to get out of it. Because last month, with something I was doing with business, I sat in that mess for 20 days and was not productive. Yeah. And it's like, then you come out of it, it's like, woe is me. But since you sat in it too long, so we're going to give you a little time to sit in it, give yourself some grace while you're in it, and then do the work to get out of it.
So that makes me think, if you depressed, if you emotional, if you hurt, allow yourself a little bit of time to grieve it. If you've lost somebody,
you gotta go
whether
through
if
it.
it's a relationship, you feel like you've lost yourself in a relationship, whatever the underlying issue is, give yourself a course of time to grieve it, cry about it, pout about it. Absolutely. But give yourself a time limit. So if you need to pout about it over the weekend, put your pajamas on, get your ice cream, watch some Oprah reruns, do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
But come time when they tick off, when they ending time that you set ended, you need to get up, get in the mirror, put your mascara on, and put your good push-up bra on, your good pumps. You know, when you wear heels, it give you a different walk.
It does.
You know,
get your hair done.
Get your hair done. Your nails did. You know, do whatever's gonna make you feel like the new brand you. And just know that life is precious. Life goes on.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good. You just gotta find the good in what's to come.
And you gotta find out what your healing looks like, and it's all the things that we've talked about. You know, that self-worth. That self-value, being able to evaluate, do the work every day, be intentional. I'm really big on how I start my day, especially with me working from home, whether it be music or a podcast or YouTube or prayer or whatever it is it may be, because it may change from day to day, but it's things that keep you in place. And also the sisterhood you talked about, because there's been days where, like, Krystal might even send me a text, or I just might get a random text from somebody telling me that they thought about me, and it's like, I need to hear this today because my job was kicking my ass, and I might have been feeling inadequate that day, like, damn, am I doing a good job here? And then you have somebody give you that kind of message and it push you forth, like, okay, I am safe in this space. Mm-hmm. So I think we have to be able to recognize that all of those things, all of those resources go into letting you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay. Mm-hmm. And that brings us to the closing. So thank you all. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you all for coming on the podcast. Shut up. Your opinions are always valued and appreciated, and we'll be right back with the Montana Minute. And now this brings us to the Montana Minute. The first thing, do the work to learn what you are worth to yourself, to know your value, and to respect yourself enough to not sign up for toxic situations. But if you do, be able to walk away. The next thing, women sometimes get hung up on closure, but don't let that be you. If it didn't work, come to your own terms with it and no one else's. And the last thing, trust. You have made it through 100% of your worst days, and at the end of the day, you will absolutely be okay. And so now that brings us to the question, as always, to be single or not to be. Signing off, yours truly, Shanna Montana.